Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for your Monday morning Chelsea FC news video. It is the 1st of November. November is another one of those annoying months in the footballing calendar this year where we've got an international break just once again bulldozering its way through, disrupting what at the moment as a Chelsea fan I would say is arguably as good of a mood as we could ever have been in as Chelsea fans. We're top of the league, we're cruising in the Carabao Cup, we're still looking like we're odds on to qualify for the knockout stages of the Champions League, we've conceded 3 goals in only 10 Premier League games, and we're looking absolutely amazing. We're scoring lots of goals are coming from everywhere. There is not a better time than right now to be a Chelsea fan, and in today's video, we're going to go through 3 different stories. 2 of them are revisiting old stories that just keep on rearing their heads. You guys know the first one we're going to talk about today is Declan Rice. It's crazy. Every single time Declan Rice plays, at the moment at least, he's having a good game. And the reason why he's having such a good game is because he's a top quality player. He's playing in a very well-drilled side, a West Ham team that have become so difficult to beat and that are also now finding ways to score goals and win football matches. And Declan Rice is the engine within this West Ham United team. There are Chelsea fans who, the moment Declan Rice does something good, they want to throw Kante, Jorginho and all of our midfielders under the bus because they want Declan Rice and they want him so badly that they kind of forget that with the champions of Europe, we've got world-class midfielders already at the club. There are some that are just like, well, you know what? We've already got enough good midfielders at the club. Why would we want to go out and buy Declan Rice? There are also some people who just look at the friendship between Mason Mount, Declan Rice, get so triggered by it that they just think, no, we can't buy someone just because he's friends with Mason Mount. It's not like that, okay? There are a lot of very solid reasons why Chelsea could go out and buy Declan Rice and why it would make a lot of feasible sense to do so. If you look at Declan Rice and the way that he's improving week by week, month by month, season by season at West Ham United, there's no doubt in anybody's mind really that we are now talking about a very, very good quality midfielder. A midfielder who not only has brilliant defensive work rate, but is getting forward, contributing to goals, getting touches of the ball in the opposition area, and pretty much doing everything that a midfielder could ever be asked to do. Now, the reason why I've said it over and over again that I do think Declan Rice would be a great idea for Chelsea. There have been times where I've asked questions because, as we can see here with some of the quotes on the screen regarding David Moyes' opinion on Declan Rice and the value of the player, West Ham value him at 100 million. David Moyes thinks he's worth more. And the more I see him play, and the more I just try not to think about how players should be valued depending on where they're from, he is English, it is Premier League club to Premier League club. West Ham have ambitions to grow from Europa League into potential Champions League candidates. They're going to be asking for a lot from Declan Rice, or for Declan Rice, because, as David Moyes also says, the man is under contract at West Ham. Nowadays, Declan Rice, week on week, I watch him play and I'm like, you know what, this guy is next level. I really think he is a top quality footballer, and he's only 22 years old. Now, you look at Chelsea's midfield. I'm going to speak specifically about 2 players here because there are 2 players who are incredibly huge and important to this Chelsea team right now at this very moment, but for reasons that we're about to discuss, in the long-term future, Chelsea cannot rely on these 2 players. Declan Rice isn't even at the prime of his career, and I think he's going to be one of the best midfielders in that position for the foreseeable future of potentially the next 10 years. He's that good. Now, Jorginho is the first one that we're going to talk about. Jorginho is 29 years old, and all of the time, whether it's his agent or him, it doesn't matter, but we always get this flirtatious nature from Jorginho's agent about going home to Italy. I don't live in England, I'm English, and quite often I think, you know what, I'd like to go home. But when you're a professional footballer, playing for one of the biggest clubs in the world, and right now, the best club in the world, you don't continuously talk about, yep, I might go home soon, I might go home, because you're in England. You play for Chelsea Football Club. You're living in London. Life is pretty good, Georgie boy. Your agent talks a little bit too much for my liking personally, and I know a lot of other fans too. Jorginho went out for Halloween, you know, quite within his rights to do so. Some people think, you know, he shouldn't. He doesn't care enough. He should be at home getting ready for Malmo. Totally see both sides of the coin there. Man wants to go to a Halloween party? Man can go to a Halloween party. He just won 3-0 in bloody Newcastle. Come down, have a good time, geez. As long as you're ready for the game against Malmo on Tuesday night. N'Golo Kante is the second player here that we need to discuss because Kante's injuries, no matter which way you look at it, they're becoming more consistent. N'Golo Kante, as a footballer, is somebody who gives 150%. Exaggerating, can't give any more than 100%, but you know what I mean. Every single time he goes out on the field. He's also 29 years old, and when we look at the injuries that he's had over the course of the last season or so, the consistency and how this is building up in frequency, and Jorginho's constant, looking away, back to Italy kind of vibe, and Declan Rice would be an absolutely fantastic player for Chelsea to sign. Now, I'm going to talk about another player in another video either later on today or tomorrow who I think is just absolutely proving right now that he'll be at Chelsea next season 100%. I think you guys know exactly who that is. So when we talk about signing midfielders, there is a massive conversation to be had right now at Chelsea about, do we really need to spend money in certain positions, or do we need to be looking any further than potentially some of the players that have buyback clauses or some of the players out on loan? It's something I want to go into a bit more detail about over the course of the next couple of days. But Declan Rice, still under contract at West Ham, wanted by United and Chelsea. I'd say United desperately need a player like Declan Rice right now. Fred McTominay, not going to win them any leagues, is it? Let's be real. And I think that the longer Chelsea don't go in for Declan Rice, the more likely he will end up at Manchester United, unless West Ham can pip United to a Champions League place this season. This one's going to keep rearing its head. The more Chelsea fans talk about Declan Rice, the more he performs for West Ham, which I thoroughly expect him to do so. This is going to keep coming up and up and up. Let me know exactly where you stand right now on Big Riceman from West Ham United. But story number 2, I want to talk about the absolute brilliance of Ben Chilwell and Reece James. Now, if you look at the graphic that I put up on the screen here, 29% of goals that Chelsea have scored in the Premier League this season have been provided by Reece James and Ben Chilwell. Now, when we bought Romelu Lukaku, yes, we expected goals. However, when Lukaku stopped banging in goals, which he did, now he's injured, so he can't, we're looking at it and we're wondering where the goals are going to come from. People are looking at, it's got to be Mason Mount, it's going to have to be Callum Hudson-Odoi. But Reece James and Ben Chilwell have become the absolute key members of this Chelsea team. And I wanted to give them a bit more praise today. In the 6 Things We Learned video, obviously gave Reece James the blue box because he was sensational, magnificent, gargantuan in that game up in Newcastle. Chilwell was decent too, but, I've been talking about him a lot recently and giving him praise, and there were other things I wanted to discuss in that 6 Things We Learned video, my nice glass of white wine on a Saturday night. But the thing that I'm loving right now about this Chelsea team is that not only do we have 14 different goal scorers in the Premier League already this season in 10 games, which is absolutely incredible, I've only conceded 3 goals. And if you look at Reece James and Ben Chilwell, when people discuss this Chelsea lineup, when people talk about who's actually on the pitch, people are like, this is a very defensive team. You got so many attacking players in this squad, but how many of them actually get to feature game by game? I think it's absolutely irrelevant. If you're looking at Chilwell and Reece James in the last couple of weeks, they've actually been playing like left forward and right forwards. And I think the key thing to this, in the second half against Newcastle, was how N'Golo Kante, who was trying to get forward a little bit more in the first half, was asked to sit back to allow Reece James to progress. It confuses opposition defences, and at the same time, you get that power, you get that accuracy with everything that Reece James and Chilwell seem to do. Every shot is on target, it goes in. They're brilliant finishers, and people make jokes about, Lukaku's injured, Werner's injured, let's just stick them up front. They don't even need to stick them up front, because tactically, the way that Chelsea manage cover when James goes forward, manage cover when Chilwell goes forward, at the moment, it is poetry in motion every time it's on the field. And I'm absolutely delighted of the form of these two, and I think long may it continue. I also absolutely love that Thomas Tuchel calls them both Reece and Chili. I think that's absolutely wonderful, and I think, again, it's just these little things that show the togetherness and belief right now in this Chelsea side. But speaking about belief in a certain player, you guys know that I've kind of run out of patience now with HAKIM ZIYECH. And the reason I'm talking about HAKIM ZIYECH here is because, once again, the talks regarding Eden Hazard do not seem to be going away. And now it's come from the mouth himself of Carlo Ancelotti, not directly saying that, Eden Hazard's going to leave Real Madrid, but Carlo Ancelotti has insisted he will not force any of his Real Madrid players to stay at the club should they wish to depart. And of course, the questions at the moment are all about Eden Hazard. Ever since he went to Real Madrid, it's not quite worked out for him whatsoever since he went there, really. He's never been able to build on any kind of form. He's never been able to stay fit for a start. And I'm just wondering, you know, if this romantic move back to Chelsea is actually something that would benefit Hazard, Chelsea, and maybe even HAKIM ZIYECH. Now, I'm not saying that Real Madrid even want HAKIM ZIYECH, and I'm not even saying that Chelsea have given up on HAKIM ZIYECH and should 100% sell him. I'm not going to sit here and say, get rid of him, I think he's useless, because there were times against Newcastle again where he looked decent. Times against Southampton. Against Norwich, when he came on, he looked decent too. I talk about consistency all the time. I talk in this case about a lack of consistency all the time. And I don't want to keep rinsing this story into the ground because I always talk about Eden Hazard returning to Chelsea. You can see some of the quotes on the screen now from both Courtois, Hazard himself. It's always going to be something that the media, particularly in Madrid, are going to be pushing in terms of an agenda. But I want to ask you guys, HAKIM ZIYECH to go the other way? My opinion at this point is that I would endorse it. If Hazard comes back, yeah, he's 30 years old, but it's not quite working out for ZIYECH at Chelsea. I'm not receiving enough considering the quality in this squad right now, and it is one of those where I would actually endorse that move. Let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below. Hazard for ZIYECH, probably a bit of cash somewhere in there as well, but would that not be a move that benefits every party involved? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you guys for watching today. Busy week again before that international break where we get 2 weeks of boredom waiting for England to just get the job done and qualify for Qatar. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you are new, and I will see you guys later. Come on, you Blues.